My name is Mario. I work actually for Rust-Oleum. I'm the flooring specialist for the northern Midwest. So I actually handle everything from Indiana, Illinois, Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, and well, that whole northern Midwest. But from there, as far as I'm based out of Chicago, born and raised here. Actually started off as a contractor, working on, started off as a carpenter, switched over to a little bit of stint into concrete, then jumped into flooring. Done everything from working corporate America, got sick of that, went back to construction, which is what I love to do. From there, myself and my brother started a flooring company, started doing concrete restoration, went into industrial floor coatings, and before we knew it, it just took off, and we kept growing and growing, and did everything from aircraft hangars at Midway, O'Hare, did even expanded into terrazzo flooring, and we did Terminal 3 at O'Hare, and worked for Northwestern Medical Center and built all kinds of work like that. Got out of the construction portion of it, as we also did the distribution, and from there did that for a number of years with my brother, and before I left and worked for the manufacturers that we actually promoted and trained and supported every day. Been doing that since 2011, and worked everything from R&D to training all parts of the world to now domestic. I've been with Rust-Oleum now for about 3 years. Love it. Glad I made the change. The way I could best describe it is it's the biggest small company you could ever be a part of. Their interest is, which I found very surprising for a large corporation, is in their customers, their clients, which they view as partners, success in their projects, which is a nice thing because there's a lot of companies that only focus on sales, and money. And of course, every company has to do that, but they have a very strong focus on helping their partners like you guys as far as go through and succeed, because it's best for business. If you succeed, you're making money, you're buying more, and everybody wins. So that's the mentality I've always had, and like to bring to this. The line that we're actually promoting through here in this training is our Citadel floor finish systems. Citadel is a brand of Rust-Oleum. It's only a professional brand. Somebody who just wanted to do their own basement, do their own home, it's not available to them. They wouldn't be able to purchase it from it. They have to come through and actually be either starting a company or already in business, adding this to their flooring systems. One of the things that's really different with Rust-Oleum when it comes to partnering with you guys, because that's how we view it, I'll say that multiple times. If you have a large commercial project that you need a site visit, not only can they go, Matt, but I can actually go. But I'm spread over multiple states. So I need to know in advance, but I'm here usually half the time, and can also come out there. Can't come out for a small garage, but I can come out for a larger, where you really need some technical assistance. That's where we come out. Not only do I do that, but we also have a technical team that works out of Vernon Hills, because that's where Rust-Oleum is based out of, which services the country as well. So there's a lot of support. In addition to that, we provide technical specifications writing if you need it. Give us the information. I'll talk about how that process works as we're going through it. We also will manufacture samples for you. So if you have working with an architect, a designer, and they need a physical sample made so that they can prove the project, we'll make that for you at no charge. Okay, it's all part of working together as partners and moving forward and helping you guys succeed. We also will write project warranties for the material portion direct to the property owner. So if you're working with, let's just pick somebody, Southwest Airlines, and you do land some office work, hallways, hopefully aircraft hangar, okay, something like that, we will write the specification for you. We will also then write a product warranty for that project. We have this patented version of having our 3-gallon kits. Our 4-gallon kits are all in a self-contained 5-gallon pail. Okay, so we put 3 gallons of material. You're going to have a sleeve, that's the 2-gallon portion. You're going to have a sleeve then that is our 1 gallon. So you actually have half pails in here. When it becomes a 4-gallon kit, you just have 2 of these, like our polyaspartics. If you jump into our 10-gallon kits, then you're going to get then just a full 5 gallons of each one. If you're buying a 15-gallon kit of the polyurea, then you're going to have 3 5-gallon pails. But anything smaller than that is going to come in these pails. So you get your material, and then you also get your mixing pail automatically. This is a 3-gallon for the polyurea because it's a 1-to-2 ratio. I'll be speaking about that in a little bit. But you do not want to mix all 3 gallons at one time. It's a very fast product. So the normal mix when applying onto a floor is 3 quarts, okay, to make it more controllable. But also it is applied at a much thinner rate than, say, a traditional epoxy. So that's how it comes. When you get this, you're going to want to pre-mix your A and your B. Now the polyureas and the polyaspartics, they're kind of backwards. So when we talk about your A side, it's the catalyst. Okay. When it's your pigmented side, that's your B. Okay. It's a 1-to-2 ratio. Okay. But when you get this, and really anybody's product, you should always pre-mix them, because what's in there is a formulation of a lot of different chemicals, additives, and so forth to boost performance one way or the other, change things, slow them down, give them higher durability, flexibility, things like that. So as they sit in the pails, if they've been sitting for quite a while, you're going to get separation. The heaviest thing is going to flow to the bottom, which is always going to be the pigment. Then you're going to have their resins. Then you're going to may have some solvents. If there's solvents in there, those flow to the top. You have to pre-mix these properly, and shaking them simply is not going to work, okay? You do want to pre-mix. I always say you want to pre-mix them about 1.5 to 2 minutes to get a good, thorough blend. And then once you've done it that one time, all you have to do is mix them when you mix them together, okay? But if they've been sitting for a couple of days, mix them up, all right? So we're going to do that right now. When you're actually working around this material, always wear gloves. Okay, safety for PPE is very important. I have guys, I've been working with epoxies, or I've been working with this for years and years. I don't like wearing gloves. Well, you've got to, because everyone's resistance towards the chemicals that are in here and the resins that are in here is different. You could be working around it for 10, 20 years, and that 20 years and day one, you get allergic. Or sometimes some people could be day 1 or 2. Everyone's is different. Wear gloves and you're fine, okay? Same thing with eye protection. I do advise wearing that. I have mine built on all the time. To mix it and put it down, you only have a few minutes, okay, with this particular product. But once it's down, you have up to 45 minutes to broadcast into. That's one of the reasons why we prefer using a polyurea. It's more controllable that way. Not all polyureas are the same. Our polyurea is made to stay open to accept flake or silica or the broadcast media for up to 45 minutes. That's assuming you're working with the right speed material, because there's 3 versions, with the right speed material in the right temperature range. Now we have a lot of customers that like to push the boundaries because they want to scrape it in about an hour, and they'll work with the faster material further than we recommend. When you're first starting off, work with the slowest, which is our summer. Okay, even if it's colder temperature, work with the summer until you get your workflow and everybody knows their job and works quickly with it. So what we're working with right now is our summer blend. It's our light gray. It comes in 3 colors, well, 2 colors and one's clear. So it comes in a light gray, which is more of a medium gray, and then we have what we call Dunes Tan, and you'll predominantly be using the light gray, because these colors are really used in conjunction with a blend of flake that the customer wants. And most of those colors have some gray in them, so you work with gray mostly. Tans, you'll probably have maybe 20 to 30%. Depends on your customer base, but about 20. And then if you do have something which is a little oddball, you can get the clear and get the pigment for it, and there's about 20 different colors. You can add it to it and make it whatever color. However, this is an aromatic polyurea. That aromatic is very important. We use an aromatic because it has chemical properties that an aliphatic doesn't. It has really, really good adhesion, flexibility, chemical resistance. But if you ever hear the word aromatic, it has no UV resistance. So it has to be broadcast to rejection 100%. Otherwise, if you leave it exposed, it's going to turn yellow and turn yellow pretty quickly. Okay. So these are all pre-mixed. Now we're going to pour these out and measure this out. This is at a 1-to-2 ratio. Okay. Let's make enough for the 3 boards here. So easy math.
So you said something about the UV rays. So if
Yep.
I'm doing a garage and it's a little bit in the sun exposure, would you have to shade the area?
No, because the flake is going to cover this up and give UV stability. And then the top coat, what we call our grout coat, that's UV stable. That's an aliphatic polyaspartic. So if you hear aliphatic, that means it has UV resistance to some degree. Some have really, really good, they'll never turn yellow. Others, as far as depends on what you're working with. But aliphatic means it has UV resistance.
What about the VOC that you wear a mask?
This is actually 98% solids. So there is like no odor from it. There's very small amount of solvent. There are times though where you will need to or want to add solvent to this to make it more flowable. Say you're working with a polyurea and it's 10 degrees outside. Okay. I don't know if you plan on working on outdoor projects or in a garage when it's 10 degrees. These will work down to 0. Okay. We have an Arctic blend that's very, very fast. You can only use it to about maybe 50 degrees. Okay. 40s, somewhere on there is fine. But when you go to use it and apply it to a really cold slab, like everything else, gets very thick. So you may want to, or actually need to, add some acetone or MEK, which is methyl alpha ketone, to it to make it flowable. Okay, and then that flashes off, and then you're fine. But with some of our products, you will need to use a respirator, depending on ventilation. But you always want to try to ensure there is some ventilation. And that's mostly going to happen with the polyaspartics. We are going to be using some application tools. We're using a 3/8 snap roller. Here, because these are small pads, we're using a 9-inch, but we're typically going to use an 18-inch roller when you're doing a large floor. Okay? And you're going to use a speed squeegee, which is a 5 to 7 mil squeegee, because our application range for this, or rate, is going to be about 225 to 250. Don't go thicker. It doesn't need to be thicker, and don't go thinner than 250, okay? We do have some guys that dip and roll it and put it out thinner. We recommend 250. All right, don't over pour what you need. Here it's such a small spot. I'm just gonna pour this down into a puddle here. I'll spread that from there. If I need to add more, I'll do that. Squeegee, okay. So when you use a squeegee, this is a 5 to 7 mil squeegee, okay? I happen to like the narrower one. Some people like the wider. I like the narrow one because it's less prone to leaving a thick puddle if there's a bird bath. Okay. When you go to use this, as far as you're going to keep the pole on a 45-degree angle, okay, you're going to keep pressure down on the pole. If you are pulling it, put pressure to see that pole bend. If it's a wood pole, if it's a metal pole, put that same amount of pressure on it, but you won't see that obviously. If you're going to, I happen to like pushing it, because it automatically gives the right amount of pressure onto the squeegee, so you don't leave thicker ridges, okay? And again, don't change the angle to go thinner, because you change the profile of the scallops that are on the bottom. Years ago, it used to be V-notch squeegees. Now these are more of a crescent, and if you change the angle, it changes how it's hitting the surface. If you tip it up too high, it does the same thing. It's acting more like a straight blade squeegee. Okay. Before you start using your squeegee, take your roller, and you're going to load your roller or prime it or charge it, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so now it's loaded. That has to be done because if you didn't and you squeegee on a thin coat, it's going to suck all the material into the roller, and now you don't have enough material in the spot. All right, so I would be putting my spikes on at this point on the garage. I'd come into the corner, push my material, get the edge, pull it back, and I want to see those cornrows. Well, here it's too thick. Okay, I almost want to be able to initially see through that, through all those little lines. Now I'm just going to push this back. Normally I'd be walking back. You'd have somebody walking in here with their spikes, and they're going to be detailing the edges. If you're going to do the stem walls, do the stem walls before you get to do the floor. you're going to prep your floor, prep your stem walls, apply the material to the stem walls, okay, which are the footings under the walls of the, I think we've got too much. That's the footing where your garage walls are on. So do your stem walls, apply your flake to them. You'll find that this material actually will stick onto the stem wall on a vertical very, very easy. Unlike an epoxy, you don't have to thicken this with any kind of thickening agent. Take all your excess off the floor. Hey, Matt. Oh, can you grab some cardboard? You don't want to leave the excess on the floor. If this material is allowed to puddle, like in, say, some tool joints, it can, it can bubble. So as you're going through, you're going to do your edges. You're going to push the material out of the joints and keep it flowing out. Don't let it all collect in there, because if it gets too thick, like I said, you're going to wind up with a bubble in that floor that you're going to have to patch. Okay? I think you got most of it. Still got a little bit there.
So what did you say the workable time with that is? Did you say like 10 minutes?
To apply about, if you're applying in about 15 minutes, you're good. Okay. You have up to 45 minutes though to broadcast. I like to make sure everybody thinks work with it as 30 minutes. So if you do go past that, you're not going to wind up with any issues with it. As a person starts squeegeeing it out, you're going to be making smaller batches. The average garage is somewhere around 400 to 500 square feet for a 2.5 car garage. So you're going to do usually from square to square, but what if it doesn't have any joints? Okay. Talking about the joints. If you're going to do from joint to joint, make sure you put the material in the joint, but don't go up on the other side. Okay, because we're going to broadcast this to 100% rejection, including the edges, and we're going to use those joints as stopping points. So then I can take my leaf blower and blow the excess I got in the concrete back over the surface, continue putting my material down. But if it doesn't have any joints, when you're squeegeeing and rolling, you're going to take the roller and take it, you're going to be rolling in a east-west direction. And as you're doing that, bring it out to nothing. And then that 2 foot, don't broadcast into. Okay? So that when you go to put down the next section, you roll into what you didn't broadcast into, and now you can continue. You're going to leave a 2 foot band on the 2 edges because you're starting the corner. So you'll leave that section, 2 feet that you don't broadcast into. Same thing with 2 feet here. Then I'm going to continue on this side, and then that side, and then that side. So until my whole garage is covered. So with this, I'm going to put moderate pressure down, making sure there's no puddles. I'm blowing forward and back. I'm moving quickly with this, okay? I'm not sitting here, I'm not painting, okay? I'm going forward, going back, move my roller over about 1/2 to 3/4, front to back, okay? And then as soon as that's done, because you're working quick in doing this, I'm going to take my roller, and remember I'm on spikes, so I can walk on the surface. Then I'm going to go in the north-south direction. First east-west, then north-south, or vice versa, doesn't matter. If you're rolling it out to the edge, don't roll it out and stop and come back on the edge, because you may push a lump of material and it stays there. Roll it to nothing, okay? And then, like I said, cross roll, leave that 2 foot band that you're not going to broadcast into. Now, once I have 1/4 of my garage done, I'm going to walk in with spikes. I would usually have a 5-gallon pail that I fill up halfway. I like to put my hand in this way and scoop it and throw it up in the air and allow it to disperse and fall down. Here I'm a little limited, but it's basically that type of a motion, and I cover a big area at one time. I don't like using a blower. I don't like using any kind of mechanical type. They're not as efficient. Plus, they're a pain because it only holds so much, and you're constantly stopping to refill. Use a bucket, you have some more filled. As soon as you start going low, your partner will hand the full bucket, and you switch off and you continue. Okay? So So I'm going to broadcast this to rejection. To rejection. Yep. Meaning the floor is not going to hold anything more, and everything I'm throwing on top, it's going to reject. We're going to remove it. Don't try to broadcast or do a sparse random flake with this, because that material is what? Aromatic. It's not UV stable. If you try doing a sparse or random flake where you put a little bit like this on top, and then you think you're going to throw a clear coat on it, that's going to, all that gray is going to turn greenish looking color. It's got to be covered to rejection. Generally, a garage crew is going to be 2, maybe 3, depends on the size. If you have a really big garage, you may even bring in a 4th, okay? The other people that are there are going to be looking at this floor as well while the person's broadcasting. Because if I look at it from one direction, it looks like it's 100% saturated. But if you change direction, you see shiny spots or discolor. You see the dark spots where the resin's coming up, and they got to point that out to the person who's broadcasting. Okay.
I've never done it. What happens when you're broadcasting? Are you able to still walk in it with your spikes on?
Good question. Really good question. Because the flake is floating on the surface and laying flat, you can carefully walk into this material. It's the only system that's a broadcast that you can walk into, okay? So if I had an area that I couldn't reach, I could, theoretically, carefully, with spikes on, walk like that. I mean, you can't twist your feet, you can't move your feet, you'll slide those flake and you ruin your floor. So you're walking literally, like Frankenstein, flat-footed, very stiff motion over the surface.
Okay, and then, so just to be clear, you're going to do 2-foot sections and then
No, you're going to do a section like a quarter of the garage. If it's a 2-car, you're leaving a 2-foot band of unbroadcasted resin. Yeah. So you can roll in the next section into that. Because if I broadcast 100% and there is no line, there's no joint, what do? I'm going to have to roll into my flake, and now I'm going to have a layer, and you're going to see that. Because you don't want to do that. You want to throw up like that. Yep. And when you do it, disperse it. Give more of a snap to your hands. There you go. You want to have that wad of flake that you disperse. You want it to spread out. Yeah, there you go. And normally, like I said, it's harder on the small one, but I usually put my hand in and I'm throwing it up into the air, flicking it into the air. Okay, this is how I normally do it. What Matthew is broadcasting right now is color quartz. It's a silica aggregate that's been changed the color either by being coated with ceramic or some sort. The manufacturers change the color, and there's literally hundreds and hundreds of thousands of blends. But with it, you have usually a selection of maybe 10 colors that you would offer. This is mainly going to be used in an area that has a need for higher durability, okay? It's going to have from impact and abrasion, okay? And what, yeah, don't broadcast anymore in the middle. No. And you're going to broadcast the same way where he's dispersing it, okay? And you're going to broadcast this to 100% rejection. And we're going to do a second coat of this in a couple of hours to go over and do a double layer. Because this one here, you never want to do as a single, because that base coat can still show through a little bit. And if it does, you're going to see this discoloration in the floor. So we always recommend a double broadcast of it. So we're going to, after it dries, we're going to clean this up, put a clear down, put the same color quartz back on top, okay? And then from there, put a clear coat on that, and that'll finish that floor. These, for a garage, it's a single broadcast for residential. That single broadcast is fine for a residential garage, but you wouldn't do that in a commercial setting. If you did, you'd still modify it to make the floor thicker, but you wouldn't just do what you do in the garage in, say, a convenience store, okay? Because or a grocery store. Those have a lot of traffic, all concentrated. You wouldn't do just a single broadcast there. We'd have to build that floor up a little thicker.
Do you double broadcast the plate or no?
Yes. Yeah, that can also be, that'd be more for a commercial setting. All right, we're going to throw silica. Where's our silica? So you saw Matt just go ahead and do it because we had to hurry up and get it done. So when I'm throwing this, one thing you will never want to do, and I'm going to do it in the center here and see if I can create the problem, okay, that you don't want. You never do that. I always like to do that to show what's going to look like. So hopefully it did a wave with the resin, and if it did, you're going to see that. There's no way to get rid of it. That's why you never want to throw it like that. But you want to throw it, again, similar to the flake. I'm throwing it up and out. And on a large job, I'm doing the same way. Putting my hand in a 5-gallon bucket, only half filled, because the silica or the silica quartz, color quartz, they get very heavy, okay? So don't fill it up higher than that. All right, so we're broadcasting, so it's what's called beached, or broadcast to rejection. All right, so when you do this, all you need to get is to this point here, where you see it's raw silica just laying on the surface. If you start seeing darker areas where all of a sudden it starts soaking through, you have to throw more on top. Now, can we broadcast more so it's an even color of sand? Sure, but that's more than what you need. You just want to make sure you broadcast enough so that it all looks like that area where loose sand is all on top.
Is this the same as that?
They're both silica quartz. This is decorative, this is natural. This one here is going to cost you probably 3 times the price versus the natural. This is more functional, durable, slip resistant. So you'd install this more in, say, a pump room or a mechanical bay, okay? Where this is going to be installed more, say, in a commercial locker room, or in a commercial bathroom, or hallways for a medical office, even the examination rooms. So this has a decorative effect to it. This one does not. It's going to be a solid color when we're done with it. Remember, you will not walk on either one of these floors with your spikes. If you can't reach an area because it's too far away, get a dustpan. If you can't reach it with a dustpan, get a shovel and fling it out there. I have on a job site before, because you're always going to have a leaf blower with you because you're controlling debris and so forth. I've even had to, before, cut a hole in the top of my leaf blower spout, make a makeshift funnel out of something, and then pour it in. Now, I won't use that to do the floor, but that's going to get you where you need to get to cover material. But before I ruin my blower, I always like to see if there's a shovel or a dustpan. That'll give you more of a leverage in projecting that broadcast media further out. All right. So I do see, now that it's been sitting here, see how you see a couple of dark patches coming through? You have to throw more sand on top of that, more silica. So you see where some of these areas are starting to darken? Okay. That's because the resin was a little thicker there, and the silica is slowly dropping into that resin, and it's rising to the top. If you didn't touch that if you didn't broadcast more on top, it could turn into a slick spot. Okay, so you're going to have inconsistency in texture, and it has to be consistent, because what makes things slippery is not only being perfectly flat and smooth sometimes, but a difference in texture. And as a person's walking, they have a certain gait, and that they have a pattern, and they're expecting that texture to be the same. If they have something hit a spot that's a lot less, they can slip. So you want to make sure it's even. Not only because it's not going to look right, it's also for safety reasons. To our next material. So these were all polyureas. We did a decorative flake. We did the first step of a decorative quartz double broadcast, and we did our silica broadcast into our first base coat of polyurea. That's going to be for a full silica broadcast floor. Sometimes the industry will call it a shop floor, sometimes a stout floor. They're all coming into a silica broadcast floor. Okay? But now we're going to change base materials. That was our polyurea. We're going to switch into our ultra hydrostop. Okay? Our ultra hydrostop is a 3-to-2 ratio. It's 100% solids, moisture vapor barrier. okay? It's applied anywhere from 80 square foot to 100 square foot per gallon as a vapor barrier. And if you're going to use it as a vapor barrier, it has to go down clear if you want its maximum performance. Its maximum performance is up to 25 pounds of moisture vapor pressure or transmission if you're using a calcium chloride test, or our documentation says 99% for RH, but I would never push it that far because you just never know. If that's already that saturated with water, maybe you don't want to put a non-breathable coating on top. And that's very rare to ever come across the floor that's that high. But it has been tested, and in order to get that high, it's over a shot blasted surface, put down clear, and put down at 80 square foot per gallon, okay? That's not how everybody uses it. That's not how most use it. Most use it as a very good moisture barrier. It may not reach those high performance levels, but they're going to put it down, and we do endorse broadcasting into it and using it as a broadcast coat. But understand, as soon as you broadcast something into it, it sinks in and you give pathways for moisture to go through. So it's no longer a vapor barrier. It's just a very good high tolerant moisture epoxy, okay? Because the permeability is moisture being able to get through a coating and come through. If you use it, like I said, in clear at 80 square foot a gallon over a shot blasted surface, it's a category 1 non-permeable coating, okay? So it is a true barrier, but once you broadcast into it or you put pigment into it, you give pathways for some of that moisture to come through, but it's still gonna hold. It's just not a barrier, okay? A true barrier. So when you get this, it comes in a 5-gallon kit. It comes in 2 gallons of 2 gallons of B, that's fine. 2 gallons of your B and 3 gallons of your A. You gotta get that right, okay? So 3 gallons A, 2 gallons B. You're going to get it in larger pails. You're going to get it in the 5-gallon pail, and you're going to get it also in a 3-gallon pail. Okay. The 5 is short filled, so that you could, if you're doing a large job, all you got to do is take your part B, put it into your part A. Now you have your 5-gallon mix. You can dump it on the floor and spread it out. I've had people ask, well, does it come in larger kits? Why? You're not making more than 5 gallons ever in a batch or in a pour, so it's controllable. So no, we don't have it larger. And if you did, it'd have to be 25-gallon kit. So it'd be difficult to pour out of. It's just easy, consistent this way. Whenever you're working with materials, make sure you're paying attention to the labels. Make sure you don't intermix materials. That happens to people, especially when they're on a job and they have base coat, top coat, urethane wear coat, okay? Make sure you put A's to B's and properly so that they're together. Look at the label. I've been doing this for 30 years. I'll still look at my label and say, well, oh yeah, okay, this is a 3-2. Don't just assume anything. Verify, because this stuff isn't cheap. But not only that, it's the labor that's worse that you have to take the stuff off if you screw something up. Okay? It's not the material cost, it's your labor cost. And guys with experience are like, oh yeah, that's true. And you are going to make mistakes. Don't think you're not going to make a mistake. Everybody makes mistakes as they go along, and you'll learn from them, okay? Just think of it as the cost of getting better, okay? Because I can almost guarantee if you did something wrong the one time, you're never going to make that mistake again. Have I had material sit in a bucket and guys throw it on the floor and it turns into a big lump? Yeah. Have I had floors fail? Yeah, I learned what we did and why it did that, and we never did it again, okay? So think of it, when it does happen, our job is to make that as minimal as possible, okay? But it's just that learning curve. We're trying to shorten that and make it as flat as possible. But when it does happen, yeah, you're going to be upset, but you know what? You learn from it, and then you'll never do it again. Other people on the crew are getting their equipment ready. We're using an 8 to 12 mil squeegee for this application, okay? The vapor barrier, it's an epoxy. Epoxies go down thicker, okay? In this case here, we're putting this down and using the 8 to 12 mil squeegee, okay? And that's actually what we applied these silica base coats down with. These silica broadcast coats, color quartz and all, was between an 8 to 12. It's always thicker than the flake because the silicas and the color quartz sink into the coating. They can't just stick on the top. They have to sink in. Okay, so the coating has to be a little thicker. And this is the squeegee you're using, 8 to 12 for that base coat. The same use of the squeegee goes true with this. Keep your pole at a 45-degree angle. Don't bring it up. Don't bring it out down to reach, because you're not going to be able to get the right coverage. Put pressure down, or put pressure down as you're pushing it. Okay. So now, as we mix this one and we pour this one out, I need a volunteer. Who wants to do this? Okay. All right, we're going to need somebody to roll. Who's going to roll? Okay. All right, Eddie. Never forget your name. Yeah, I saw him. Yeah. All right. First thing we're going to do, you're going to take the material. Now, you saw when I poured my polyurea over there, I poured it in a puddle. When I'm working with polyureas, I want to push that puddle around. When I'm working with epoxies, I'm going to take it, I'm going to pour it in a stream. I like to pour it, with my personal preference, is a stream along the front and a stream along the side. So that as I'm squeegeeing back and forth, I'm pulling more from that puddle on the side, okay? And it's just to keep, what I found works best for me for flow. Some people just like to push a big puddle. That's fine, okay? Find what you like, the way you like to do it, okay? So we're gonna go through. As soon as he pours this out, don't pour all of it. I'd say half. Good. Okay. Go ahead and take in this large puddle. Let him charge up his roller. Yes. Okay. So now, as far as you can wait until he gets at least half of it done. And then now you're going to come in here, and your job is not to get all the way to the edge. Get to about ½ inch or so. Now, when you're doing this, because we got a big puddle, you'll also want to change the angle of your squeegee, so that if I want material, I'm taking it that way, I'm going to change, just like snow plowing. I'm going to change the angle, and I'm going to bring it this way, so that I'm pushing that excess away from that corner. Still have a big puddle here, so I'm going to do it again. There we go. All right. So now as I'm doing it, as I'm walking back, I'm going to take my squeegee on an angle, because I want to keep pushing it this way. So I'm going to keep coming across like that, and then take it across and put an angle like that. Okay? So I keep pushing the puddle back. And I have the squeegee a third past my puddle, so it doesn't ride up the squeegee and come out the top. Have the squeegee sticking out further. There you go. Nope. You got to change the angle of the squeegee.
You get on
Hold
top.
on. Yeah.
Get on top. There we go.
Okay. And come you got a big puddle here. Come all the way here and come across this way. Pull that straight back. Keep going. And, yep. All right. Now, come all the way here. See how it's a thick line? There you go. And then come back up here. You got to come all the way past this. There you go. And just keep doing it all the way back. All right. Now, he's already... One more pass, so you'll be able to come in. Go ahead. Now, take your cage and flip your cage. Flip it like that. Always get in the habit, if you're using 9-inch roll, stop. Bring it all the way forward, bring it all the way back. Over itself. All the way back. Nope. Straight back, straight back. There you go. Now pick it up and move. There you go. Now when you're rolling it, you do not have to put a whole lot of pressure, just moderate pressure. We're going to use a smaller flake, okay? That was a 1/4 inch. This one's 1/8 inch, okay? We'll just throw that away. Okay, you hand that over to one of the guys. Okay, so we're going to use a smaller flake now. This is 1/8 inch. Who wants to broadcast this? Chris?
Yeah, I think it is done.
I'm going to volunteer you a lot. Up, stop. When you go to broadcast, make sure you throw it up and out, so it disperses and it falls down. Yeah, be careful when you throw it out, because that wad of material may stay together and it hits the surface, and if the resin's a little thicker, it can push the resin, you have a wave. Like I did in that spot, hopefully it shows. And we're going to broadcast this. Before you say this is a section of the garage, I would make sure this is all 100% broadcast before I step back and start doing more. because if you step back too far and there's an area you missed, now you can't reach it. It's harder to reach.
Is that considered a flake?
This is a flake.
Yeah, it's 1/8 inch. The other one over there is a 1/4. Yeah, this is an epoxy product. Yes.
Yeah, this is our ultra hydro stop that that we're broadcasting into.
And we want to inject to the floor of a vapor barrier.
This is a vapor barrier.
Yep.
So if you have a below grade floor, or that might be reading high, or even a garage that has high moisture readings, we're going to get to that, what that is. You have this as an option to do the floor. Otherwise, our other resins, you can't do a floor because the readings are exceeding their capabilities. And this is actually important because it's not only our resinous flooring that has an issue with high moisture, it's every floor. Actually, everything in a building is susceptible to moisture problems. So if you do have a floor that has high moisture, what do you do if you're going to put hardwood on it, laminate on it, carpeting on it, tile? They all have a problem with high moisture. This is a solution. Okay? Correct. So you actually can put this and use this vapor barrier before any other flooring needs to be installed. Okay? Now the preparation's the same. Putting down your coating's the same. Depending on the product going on top, say it's going to be glued down carpet tile, commercial tile. Well, you have to, now it becomes an issue of the adhesive that's being used. We don't know that. Okay? But this will seal up. Sometimes you have to sand it for some other adhesives, something like that. But that's something you have to find out from that. But you could be a service to guys who do hardwood floor, laminate, commercial tile, commercial sheet floor, all those. Because you come in, solve their vapor moisture problems for them, and then they continue with their floor. Okay? So don't always think there's just this flooring that you install. You could be a service in many different ways to other trades. So there's a lot more work. Just say, oh, I can't find this. Well, look for that. Look for that. Doesn't matter what the economy is doing. Commercial property always has to fix, and they can't let things deteriorate or become trip hazards and so forth. There's always work. You just have to know where and when to look for it. Okay? So this has been broadcast. I can see some spots where it's starting to soak through, which is over there, mainly on the edges. So that corner. So you want to look at your surface. Okay? And what I'm looking for are darker shades. The easiest one to see is that area over there in the corner, right along that side. You can see where it's darker. You have to throw more flake on it. And that's what you have to look at as you're broadcasting, but also whoever is your partner on that job site's got to look for you because you're broadcasting. You can't catch everything. You need another set of eyes. Okay, Matthew's going to talk to you about our PLE 100 Fast Cure.
Okay, so this product right here is the PLE Fast Cure. It's a lot different compared to the standard PLE. This will actually set up at 72 degrees around 2 hours, and you have about 15 to 20 minutes of working time with it, so it will move fast. It's great if you want to get in and out for your base coat. You can broadcast into it, and it goes down at about 125 square feet per gallon. So right now we're just going to mix it. And then
to 200 square feet per gallon.
125 to 200.
There's a variance. Depends on how you want to use it. Yeah. All the coatings have a range. When I'm talking about 250 square feet per gallon, 225, that's for a flake. Like but it can go up to thickest 100 square feet per gallon for that. This one also has a range. Thickest 80 square foot per gallon. Some will apply it down to 150. Depends on how you're using it.
And okay. Mario did also mention earlier that this product does have a little bit of moisture mitigation in it. Mm-hmm. Was it 10 pounds of MVT?
Yes.
Okay, 10 pounds of MVT, whereas the Ultra Hydro Stop holds 25 pounds of MVT per 1,000 square feet. Yeah, mix ratio, yeah, still the same as standard PLE, 2 to 1.
Now the PLE 100 Fast Cure comes in clear. It comes in Dunes Tan, Armor Gray, which is the lightest gray we and the pre-manufactured colors, and then light gray, which is more like a medium gray. Okay, that's what they stock here. Those three things.
Yeah, the clear, light gray, and armor gray.
You said stock tan?
No, we don't stock tan.
All right. It can be custom colored or tinted in the field using our universal color colorants. It can be field tinted. When you use that, it's 8 ounces per gallon. Okay. Of that universal colorant tint being added to it. Or if you have a large project where you're going to be needing 10, 15 gallon kits, we can actually manufacture it with the color in there. But if you only need one 15 gallon kit, field tint it. Okay. Can we do it? Sure, but it takes a lot of time. It has to be done in the lab, not in mass production, because they're mixing hundreds of gallons in manufacturing. If you need 15 gallons, they can't make it there. So it's going to have to sit and wait until the lab can make it for you. So field tint it. You can just buy a tint, get your 15 gallon kit, mix in the field, you're good. Okay.
The thing too with field tinting, it will slow it down a little bit for the cure process. Right?
Yes, it does. So if you're looking for a fast cure and you need it to be cured and ready to go for your next application in about 4 hours, 3 hours, you have to get it in color. Okay. If you add the color into it, it negates some of that property and takes it from a 3 hour to about a 5.5 hour. What he made there was, if we know that we're making, say, 1 quart and it's and we're using 8 ounces per gallon, it's a 2 ounce admix. Okay. When you get your colorant, make sure you thoroughly mix it before you start dispensing out of it, because colorants are made of different pigments. Different pigments have different weights. So if it's been sitting on a shelf for a while, all the blacks and so forth will start to settle to the bottom, and the lighter color pigments will float to the top. If you don't thoroughly mix it, your floor is going to be multiple shades. Thoroughly mix your pigment colorants, okay, before you start using them. PLE 100 Fast Cure. It's an alternative for one-day floors. So there's some guys that just can't get the hang of a polyurea, okay? That's fine. We have an alternative for you. Is it fast? Yes, but it has its limitations, okay? And that's, it has to be used from 50 degrees on up, because like all epoxies, at 40 degrees, it stalls. It does not cure. Until it warms up, then it'll start to cure. So you can't use it in cold temperatures. Polyurea can. Okay. The other thing is, it is a fast cure epoxy, but it's not as fast as a polyurea. The polyurea, using the right polyurea for the formulation for the right temperature, I mean the temperature cure rate, that one can be faster. Okay. Perfect. Now bring it all the way forward in one steady move, and bring it all the way straight back, just like before. There you go. Now pick it up. There you go. Perfect. And just keep doing that all the way through the floor. All right. So the other thing too is that the PLE 100 Fast Cure Epoxy, if you're using it in an area where it has way low humidity, okay, where it's dropped below 30% relative humidity, it can cause some surface imperfections like wrinkling looking, okay, because it's the moisture that's affecting it, that there's lack of. All right. So the only time that really becomes an issue is, say you're going to do a floor indoors and it's the middle of winter and the furnace has been running for 2-3 months already and it's dried out that air so badly, just know you may have some surface imperfections, but if you're going to broadcast into it, doesn't matter. You're not going to see it. It's going to be fine. But if you're going to do a smooth coat like this and leave it like that, you may see some imperfections. But if the house has, or the building has a humidifier and it's up about 35% or higher, you're good. So that's where a hygrometer actually was really good. It measures the moisture in the air. Okay, and I'm going to be talking about some of the tools that you should have. But I already showed you the infrared thermometer. But a hygrometer is very important to see what the moisture level is, because that affects all your coatings in different ways. So it's nice to know. And as a professional, you should have it. It only costs, you can get a good one for like $100. They're cheap. But our base coats are down. Let's get back to our PowerPoint. So with it, as far as, again, what we're talking about here is Citadel Floor Finish Systems. With it, as far as we have systems that are for everything from residential, commercial, to industrial. Okay? What we're presenting today is just our, what we call Type 1, or entry level to moderate difficulty. We offer here also a Type 2 semi-class, where we then start bringing in some of our urethane cements, our epoxy mortars, other which are systems which are more difficult and take a little bit more technique and skill to learn. You got to start off with these, and then later on you could always bring in more, but we do offer those here as well. But with it, We like to always present systems that, or train so that you can present systems to your customers in a good, better, best scenario. Never lead with just the best, obviously, because you're going to price yourself out against competition. But give them what they need, sell them what they need as a good system, and then offer options that are going to make the system better and best. Okay. With it, as far as we like to, or we are a market-leading manufacturer of technology and also flooring system products. Okay, so we're always going through and innovating and coming up with additional products or modifying and making our systems better. Okay, we're not arrogant to think that we made it perfect the first time. There's no such thing as perfection. There's always something that can be made better, and we know that we always do. And then with it, we pride ourselves in having leading edge technology or customer service, second to none. Okay. Again, you heard Ed say he answers the phone 24/7. He literally does. Okay. Don't call him at 10 o'clock at night though and disturb him if you just want to know, hey, I was reading this in the tech data sheet. What does this mean? He'll never answer. He'll probably be reluctant to answer your phone. But if you're on a job and you know that he knows that you're on a job and he sees your call, he'll answer. Same thing with me. If I see he needs assistance or someone's on a job and they need assistance, I will also try to make sure I'm there to answer the phone. So where are these systems used? Literally everywhere. Okay, there's not a building around that you could tell me, well, what about this industry? What about this room? You know, it may not be for that particular room, but for that building and that industry, there are flooring applications of ours that are needed in there. So if we go through and break it down to healthcare, into commercial, retail, residential, and so on, I could go through and point out multiple areas. So whether we're talking medical facilities, surgical rooms, examination rooms, bathrooms, let's get back into the back of the house areas, hallways, corridors, maintenance facilities, all those need to be coated, okay? In healthcare, they're mandated in certain rooms, they have to have a seamless, non-porous, easy to maintain as far as surface that is also antimicrobial or can be sterilized, okay? All these systems are, by the way, are all food grade safe. They're all been tested for that inconsequential contact as far as with food, as far as, and they all pass that. But if we get into all the other ones, all the locations, because basically same locations can be done, but everything from retail showroom floors to bathrooms to storerooms, getting into as far as our food manufacturing, the preparation areas, okay, the food manufacturing areas, they all have to be, and they're mandated by the way, that they have to be coated with these type of systems, okay? So with it, as far as we like to manufacture everything and make sure that you're aware, it's gonna be easy to apply, consistent, okay, and it's gonna be also quick to service. So the systems that we're showing today, there are one-day systems. Just about every coating, when the system is done, can be driven on in 24 hours with some exceptions, okay? But some of our urethanes, some need a little bit longer, but we do have urethanes which are traffic ready in 24 hours, okay? With it, as far as our we like to think of ourselves as a one-stop shop. So when you come here to Elite Coatings, as far as Midwest, they're gonna go through and they're gonna have everything from the Polyurea base coats to the polyaspartic top coats, our urethane top coats, moisture vapor barriers, our patch and repair products, our aggregates and anti-slip materials, additives that could be put into the coatings, along with all the sundries, meaning the roller sleeves, the chip brushes, the application tools, okay? But all these are manufactured at our plant that happens to be in Minnesota. It's in Brooklyn Park. We actually have 140,000 square feet. I think that number is actually low now. We keep taking more and more of the building. Eventually, our goal is we're gonna have it all. But up in that facility, 140,000 square foot is for manufacturing, okay? In that portion of it, we have 85,000 square feet, which is manufacturing, 5,000 square feet of it is our lab, okay? That's a pretty big lab. Now, I've been in a lot of companies, manufacturers, labs over the years. I've never walked into one that was like this. There's literally like 6 or 8 chemists that were in there, all different duties. Some of them are R&D, some of them are quality control, okay? And they're going through and they're constantly checking the materials we're producing and then also looking to be innovative and make them better or new products, okay? There was more equipment in there and I've been, like I said, a lot of labs. I didn't even understand what half of these were. Okay, I've never seen them before, but they're testing for different things to ensure that it's always meeting our standards. Also, we have inside there in that same facility a concrete lab. What that is a big area, probably about half the size of this room, this warehouse, that has a big slab poured over the floor, and they're constantly applying coatings on there and testing them for wear and tear, and it's our application area. Okay. We also have, as far as in there, our full sample department. You heard me say in the very beginning, if you need samples, we'll make the samples for you. Okay. If you need samples to go out and present to sell from, we'll make those for you. Okay. Ed actually just puts in an order, and we get some samples out to you, so you can use those. And that facility is built for the future. We call it our flooring center of excellence because we also have our administrative staff area that works in there. So they're there to support all the needs that we have for that. But with our broadcast systems, it all starts from the slide here. Our base coat, which we applied. That's why I was in a hurry to get these down, because they have to start curing so that we can finish them today. But so it all starts with your base coat application. That's usually for our one-day floor. It's going to be our Polyurea, but it can also be our Ultra Hydro Stop or our PLE 100 Fast Cure. They both fall into that one-day floor. It will take longer with the Ultra Hydro Stop than the PLE 100 Fast Cure, about double. That will take about 4 or 5 hours to cure. The Ultra Hydro Stop will take about 3 hours to cure. And then the Polyurea is generally going to be about 2 hours to scrape. Unless you use the speed faster, then it can be as quick as 1 hour. Don't start with that though. Start with appropriate speed for the temperature. Okay. Oh, and then it all gets finished off with a grout coat. That's what we call the coating that goes over your broadcast media, whether it be flake, color quartz, or silica. Okay. The coating that we put on top of that we call is our grout coat. Okay. And then from there, at times, you'll be putting what we call a wear coat, which is the urethane. Okay. Garage floors, they typically don't need that unless a person's doing automotive work in there. He's does a lot of extra work in there, might be spilling fuels, may be spilling oils that don't get cleaned up right away. Okay. Then, of course, you can offer them the urethane top coat. Also, you'll have some customers, they have no need for it, but they have to have the best, and you can sell them as the best floor. Okay. So it all starts with the flooring inspection, okay, and the installation process. But you're going to start off by your estimator, whether that's you or you have someone estimating for you, understanding what to look for on the floor. They're looking for damage. They're looking for cracks. Is there a coating on it? Is the coating pitted or peeling? Is the coating intact? I always recommend, and we always recommend at Rust-Oleum, to remove the prior coating, because now you know that it's done correctly. If you go over a coating, can you? Sure. Should you? Maybe not. Okay. Sometimes you have to. Depends on timeline and budget. But we recommend taking it off, because otherwise you're relying on the preparation that someone else did. Okay. If you trust that, because once you do it, you bought the floor. It's yours. Okay. So that's why, as an installer, when we were out there, we would take it off. Okay. It was part of what our bid was. But your estimators are inspecting all that. Have them take pictures of everything on the floor. Okay. So that when your crew goes out, they know what to expect. Okay. From there, you'll make your product selections.